If you've been using ClickUp, you probably know you cannot really share your data that easily. Dashboards cannot be shared publicly. To share several tasks, you have to share them one by one or share a view, and it's not really always what you want to show. But it was up until now, because there's a tool that lets you create super good looking apps that integrate with your ClickUp data. You could create client portals, job boards, or CRM so that your operations could keep working in ClickUp, but you could share that information and that progress with the rest of the world, whether it's external stakeholders or even internal team that doesn't have access to ClickUp. And that tool is called Softr. Softr is an app builder that lets you build apps using building blocks and lets you connect with all kinds of different data sources, whether it's a Google Sheets or a Notion or a ClickUp, to have a nice looking user interface. And if you want to, you can even gate part of the data behind user login and authentication and have some other parts public. It really makes it very, very flexible to create good looking websites, web apps, blogs that use your data. In today's use cases, we're going to get started with how to use Softr, and to do so, we're going to create a very simple looking job board that lets people explore different jobs you offer at your company and apply for them. Stay till the end of the video because you'll be grasping everything about Softr. And if you want to give it a try, there's a link down in the description. You can sign up to Softr. There's even a discount that lets you try for a little longer without having to commit yet. If you're ready to discover the ClickUp and Softr integration, let's get started. On this very first use case, we're going to start very simple. We're going to create a job directory for our company. Say we're an agency and we're actively recruiting people. We would like people to be able to see all open positions and apply from a nice looking user interface. But from an internal perspective, I want to make sure my people's team works in a nice project tool and is able to create new positions, update them, add some descriptions, and basically work on their day-to-day in a tool like ClickUp. So we're going to start off by understanding how our data is built in ClickUp. We have a positions list here, which centralizes all our open positions, basically. We have different jobs that people can apply for. And if we put the online status, we want people to be able to apply for those jobs, right? I have 4 jobs that I want to have online, and maybe I can add like a 5th one. And as soon as I change the status, I would like to see that reflected in a nice job board. Next up, those jobs might have data. So they might have a description in the task description. They can also have a due date, which is basically by when we want to fill up that job, a location, a department, a salary range. I'm also displaying the start date field, so they can have a start date, which is basically the publishing date, I would say, and the due date, which is by when we're looking for an applicant. I want to use and leverage all of these data into my job board. We're going to sign up to Softr first. Now, it's fairly easy to sign up to Softr. All you have to do is go to softr.io and get started. And once you do that, you will be prompted with a dashboard like this, and you'll be able to create your first app. An app in Softr is basically a website that goes online and is using any kind of data behind the scenes. I'm going to show you that right after, but you can make those apps public by just publishing them online and anyone can access it, or private by having a built-in authentication system where people can just log in through an email and a password. But we're going to keep it simple and create a nice looking job board. To do so, I'm going to click Create New here. And I have 3 options. I can either start from scratch, start with a template, or generate my job board with AI, which is pretty cool. You can try out that feature, but I want to start from scratch just to show you how it looks and get to understand the tool fully. Now, I think there are some job boards templates. So if we start from a job template, we can have a job listing website. I don't want that for now. I will start from scratch and connect my data. I can pick any data source that's available in Softr. You can actually connect different data sources at once. You could decide to link up your ClickUp account, but also your Notion, and have data coming up from your ClickUp tasks, but also from your Notion pages, and combine those if you're using both tools, for example. Think of Softr as the display of your business operations. You can filter out the data you need, you can display the data you need, but all the data stays in the tool you use in your day-to-day. For now, we're going to keep it simple and start integrating ClickUp. I'm going to click continue, and then it's going to prompt me to connect my ClickUp workspace. Now I've skipped that part because I have some client workspaces in there, but once they're connected, they should display right here. And we actually have something that we can use for our job board. So we have a blank page that has some sort of a listing system, and this could be what our job board will look like. But we're going to start from scratch and scrap all of this to show you from the very beginning how to set up a Softr app. I've deleted that very first block, and I'm going to go to pages and delete all the other pages. I'll delete the list page, the item details. I don't want this. I don't want this either. And then I can leave those because they're by default in Softr. We can't change them for now. I'm going to delete that home as well. I really want to start from a blank canvas. And what we're going to do is, first off, have a little header section where we're going to say, welcome to agencies, for example, which is our workspace right here. And we're going to say, please find our open positions below. Softr works in a block kind of system. You have these little tiles that you can basically add onto your canvas, and this lets you build your website, your web page, brick by brick. You can have a first section that's just the title, then you can have a dynamic section that leverages your data, and we're going to get to that later. I'm going to start very simple by having a static title section. I'm going to go into the static blocks, and I'm going to add a hero section that's going to be like this. You can add a hero with call to action. Okay, cool. I'm going to say, welcome to agencies, and then please find our open positions below. Next up, I'm going to delete that image. Okay. I'm going to look for another photo. I can use this one. Maybe that's appropriate. And let's keep it simple. I'm not going to have that little button, request a demo, not applicable to us. I'm not going to get into the tweaking of the style, the visibility, and all that kind of stuff. We just have our basic design. Maybe what we can do is have our title color reflect our brand color, maybe have it in blue. And second thing we're going to add is a block that lists all our jobs and is connected to ClickUp. As a reminder, we have a bunch of jobs here and we only want to display the ones online. So I'm going to get back to Softr, and here I'm going to add a list kind of block. You have all kinds of different blocks that are basically connected to your different tools. So you can see the ClickUp logo when you hover over it, and you can see that this means I can connect my ClickUp data to Softr. Some other blocks, like payment blocks, are native to Softr, but you can basically let people pay in and have like a paywall and have some sort of membership app, for example, and just use Softr as that. It's pretty neat. But we're not going to focus on those more advanced tools. We're going to keep it simple with a list. I'm going to have a simple list block here and add it. Once I've added that block, I can pick in where the block data is going to come from. I'm going to select the list positions that it's my people demo space. I'm going to pick the workspace. I'm going to pick my space, and it's going to show me the different lists I have. So I have a positions list. That's the one I need. And then I can use a conditional filter. I'm going to add a condition and say, I want the status to be online. So includes online. I don't want to see jobs that are not online. And then I want to show an empty state message when there's no result. That's fine. No results found. I can say no jobs found to make it look nicer. And then I'm done with setting up my source. Next thing, we're going to set up the content. The content is basically what's going to be inside this block that's coming dynamically from ClickUp. We don't need this little image resume. What we can have as the header is the job name. I'm going to map the name to the name of the task, and it's mapped to something else, so I can just agree to remap it. It's going to be displayed here. Each time I update the task here as operations assistant, HR assistant, head of growth, backend engineer, it's going to be updated right there. It's dynamically synced between my web app and ClickUp. Next, it suggests me to create details page for position. I can do that and can click create. It's going to create an actual one pager for each position which we'll get back to later. I'll get back to my homepage. I'll finish setting that up. So I'll get to the content, and then we can add a bunch of other information. First off, we could add the location of the job, the department of the job, and the salary range. These are pretty important info. So I'm gonna get back to Softr, and here in the department, I can display it. It's already actually displayed and suggested. I could also choose to display the location, and I can also choose to display the salary range. And there we go. We have all the data that came from ClickUp into Softr as nice looking columns. I could also display like a very short description of the job. And to do so, I can use my description field. Now we have the different positions. Next up, I want to be able to filter out these positions. I want to let candidates filter out positions by department, for example. I could say, I want a filter on the department. So I'm going to leave this one only and let users change the department and only see tech jobs, for example. I'm going to leave that filter there. I think we are good. That's it for the content. Next, let's move on to the actions. I'm going to add a little button on each of those open positions because I want to let users see more details about that open position and be able to apply for it. I am going to add an item button here and say on each item, open the details page, open the details of that position. So we could have the open button and just rename it maybe as something nicer and say view details or even view position details. On click, it's going to open the details of that position and it's going to open it in the same tab, which is fine by me. And then we can move on to the styling. You can make your blocks look similar to how your brand is. You can change the sizing. You can change the card colors, titles, subtitles. You can really go far in how you customize this. Now, I'm not going to change it much. I'm going to keep it simple. I can just leave it as is. One thing I want to show you, though, is that you could make those little tags look like the colors in ClickUp if you wanted to. If you go into tag and go into wrap tags colors, you could choose as defined in data source, which will make the colors of the tags look exactly like ClickUp. You'll have your purple columns look purple in here. That's a small detail, but it just shows you how far it's integrated and connected with your ClickUp data. We have the different job positions. We could, if we wanted, reorganize our content. Maybe the salary range shouldn't be below here. Maybe we should have the location here. That will look nicer. Okay. On site. And then it's operation jobs paid 100,000 USD. Okay, cool. I have my content. I have my actions. I have set my style. And then I can set my visibility. Per block, so for each of those blocks, I could say only logged in users or every kind of users can see this. And that's interesting. And that's something we'll go deeper into once we expand this HR portal. Because in the next video, I'm going to show you how you can actually have a login system that lets your employees log in here and maybe add new positions or see the employee directory or see the talent pool and be able to like really have like some sort of intranet for your business straight into Softr. For now, we'll leave it to all users, and it tells me page is only visible to logged in users. If I go to the settings of the page, I could set the visibility here and say all users can see this page and click save. That way, anyone that's logged in can see the page, and that's probably better because if we were to publish the app and click publish, then I'll open a new tab. I'm on the internet, I'm online, and this is displayed. Everyone can see it, and that's what I needed. I can basically search for a job. Maybe I can search for backend engineer and find the job right here. I have my job board published, and now I'm going to refine this by updating the position ID card, let's say. I'm going to get to pages and go to the position details, and here I have some more info about it. I am going to update these item details page. What I'm going to say is I don't want any image, not really useful, but as the title, I want the name of that position. As the description, I want the description in ClickUp. Maybe I want to display the department all the way to the top. And maybe I could also add some more info. I could add the start date and bring it all the way to the top as well. And we have the description and we have a bunch more details here. So in the second section, I can only keep what I need. Probably don't need those, but we could display a little bit more info. We could display the salary again. We could probably show if it's remote or not, display the department again, and so on and so forth. For example, if I had a PDF job description, I could display it here, and it would be actually an attachment custom field in ClickUp. You really can use as many of your ClickUp fields and display them here in that page. And then I can improve my design a little bit. So I could have the name that looking a little bit bolder. And what I could do is add a second block to the bottom to let users apply for this position. I could add a form in here and say it's a centered form. And actually, let's make it to the side. Okay, could be nice. In the bottom, we're gonna say maybe want to apply, leave your details here. Next up, we need to decide where the form data goes into ClickUp. We're gonna go all the way to the top, and we're gonna pick the same space, which is our people demo space. And this time, I want applications to go into the talent pool. I want people to be able to apply and for the applications to go to the talent pool. And what we're going to do is have more info here. So we're going to go to the questions and request for the name, which would be the task name in ClickUp. That's it. Next up, we're going to request maybe for tell us a little bit more about yourself, and that will go to description. Let's call it tell us more about yourself. And maybe you can request not the phone number, but the email and map it to the email in ClickUp, because we do have that field as a reminder. I do have an email field in my talent pool. Okay, that's it. So back to Softr. I can also add some other fields. So I can choose to add another input. And we do have in ClickUp a resume field where people can upload their resume. So we could let people upload their resume if we wanted to straight into the app. Basically, any field that exists in ClickUp can be used into our form. Let's keep it simple for now and just let them fill their name, email, and some details. We are pretty much done. One thing I want to add just to improve user navigation is a button that brings me back to all the other positions. I'm going to add what's called a CTA. That's basically a button. I'm going to add a little button here that says just back to positions. I'm going to remove the title and say back to positions. Then I'm going to add an action, and it just opens the homepage we were in. Maybe I can style it a little bit better. Add a little arrow button, just to say it's actually a back button. I'll just make it smaller padding. These are just like design details, obviously. I don't have to do that, but I think that could be a little bit nicer looking. Now there's just one last little thing I want to do, and I want to pass the data that the person is applying for this position of head of growth, for example. I need to add this to the form, and into the form, I can actually rename application form. I'm going to add a hidden parameter, which is going to be the position custom field, okay? Because just as a reminder in ClickUp, we do have a position custom field, so people can apply and can say, I'm applying for HR assistant, for example. I'm going to add this data and link that up with the details of the record that is the position name, okay? Each time someone applies, it links it up to a record of the position name. I'm gonna click publish, and what that means is that I am pretty much set up when it comes to my HR portal. For now, everything's public. I have a homepage. I have a position page. Whenever I open up a position from the homepage, I have more details here. That means that anyone can come into my portal and apply for a job and have details about the job and potentially apply straight from here and not have to go into a ClickUp form that kind of kills the user experience because you're not really into the context of what you're applying for. So you're basically making your ClickUp data work with a nice looking external user interface. Let's give it a try and start using this portal. Now, before showing you how the portal looks from a user's perspective, we're going to tweak a few settings and just update our menu, for example, and update our logo just to make it look a little bit nicer. I'm going to leave only the homepage, and I will change our logo to something nicer into the settings. We actually do have a logo. just uploaded a logo for my agency. Here's the fav icon. And then I'm gonna pick a logo that is an image. I'm gonna upload a horizontal image and maybe a square image. There we go. We have nice looking logo, nice looking icon, and we can really be branded the way we want. I think we can actually see how it looks, right? Let's open that up. We have our HR portal getting ready. All of this data is into ClickUp. And if I open up a position, for example, maybe I want to apply for head of growth. I'll just search head of growth. Great. View details. I can see the details about the position. Obviously, these can be styled the way we want. And then say I want to apply, all I have to do is apply from here in the bottom. Say I'm Ramzi. I love agencies and would love to work for you. I can obviously add the resume uploading system if I wanted to. I'm just going to paste my email. I can say here is my LinkedIn, for example. Obviously, I went with a very basic, but if I wanted, I could add a custom field in ClickUp for LinkedIn URL and then bring that field into the form and add that in as well. But let's keep it simple and just have a regular field. That's the description. And let's click submit. As you can see, I have a little toast saying, thank you for submitting the form. And I can just get into ClickUp and see how this looks. If we open up ClickUp and we go into the talents, we do have a new talent called Ramzi that has applied and said, okay, I love agencies, would love to work for you. Here's my LinkedIn. And the exact data came into the description. And we do have a new position created for head of growth with Ramzi as a candidate. And if we go into positions, we have our head of growth position. If we open it up here, related to my new candidate. So this position was online and this person applied. Now, if a second person applies and say Sarah applies, let's say, I love agencies. Pretty basic. They're probably not going to be hired with this, but it's just for the sake of the example. And we have a second record that has been recorded. And if we get to ClickUp and refresh our task for a head of growth position, we can see that we have a second candidate that has been added for this position, which is actually not something you can do with ClickUp yet. You cannot create forms with linked relationships. All the talents cannot be linked to the positions with a regular ClickUp form. So that's another benefit of using Softr as an intake form if you have more advanced features. And that's actually something we'll be talking about when building a CRM or a client portal. I'm going to show you the power of linking up ClickUp with a tool like Softr. Now, thank you for watching this quick tutorial about Softr. I hope this helps you out grasp the potential of this tool and how you can integrate it with ClickUp to make your customer experience or internal team experience much better. And now that you got to understand it, feel free to give it a try. There's a link down in the description and you can trial it and see if it works for your business. And if you need any help with setting up a Softr app for your business, feel free to book a discovery call with us. We'll go through your operations and recommend you the best way to do it and help you out. Now, if you're not necessarily interested about this specific use case, I'll be exploring some more use cases about integrating Softr in ClickUp in other videos. We'll be building a neat CRM to be able to have a nicer user experience than if you're using ClickUp for your sales team, or building a client portal that lets your client see the pending invoices, their project progress, or request some new tasks or review their existing deliverables into one single interface. If you're interested about that, just subscribe and you'll get to know more about how to level up your operations and improve your team's experience with Softr. Thank you and stay productive.